All right. Thank you, Tay and Val.
Thank you.
Well, we have, let me see if the clicker works. Yeah, it works twice.
Several of you are going to be back in that room in just a week or two.
So we want to take a few minutes to do an update on Dent Passport, which is something that we walked out on stage a little more than a year ago and introduced. What is Dent Passport? It's a set of experiences and unique benefits that you get throughout the year, you get to go to connect you with other great denters and have more experiences like this. And it also gives you discounts on other Dent community experiences like this conference. So those of you in the room who have Dent Passport had a 500.
How many passport holders in the room right now?
Yeah.
The genesis was folks that either due to schedule constraints or other constraints, like I can't come to the conference every year. What we started doing in the early days was we would, during the course of the year, create some special experiences for those people that were coming to the conference. Because after the first conference, everybody said, hey, we want to hang out more. We don't just want to wait a year to do it. So we started organizing things. And we'd say, great, you're coming to the conference or you've been to the conference, we'll do this. But a number of really great people that we wanted to keep within the community, they said, well, I want to stay involved, but I can't come to the conference next year. So which is why we developed the Passport program, which is separate.
So why don't let's take a few minutes and go through just kind of what it looked like in the first year. So the very first thing we kind of did as a Passport group a year ago was go visit a really interesting event at Harvard Business School called the Future Assembly. We're doing it again this year, it's April 5th or 6th, something like that. A number of you are signed up, which is awesome. We also started doing these really cool things that we now call Dent Explore.
They started off, under the rubric of kind of mini dents.
Yeah.
But then added the element of we're going to get to know the location we're in more in depth. That would be part of the experience.
Explore means explore both kind of a topic and a location. We had a really fantastic time in Maui last year, which is where this photo is from. It looks a little bit more Maui-like if I do that.
This was activity day. No, every day has some activities. So
yeah, and the concept of Dent Explore is really far more, if you can imagine, less formal than Dent. It's very informal. It's designed to give, over the course of 5 days, interactive sessions. This was kind of like a book club discussion kind of a session. Time where you can actually hunt someone down and spend 2.5 hours with them. I really feel like over the past, we've done 3 of these so far, and the kinds of opportunities that I've had even just to get to know members of the community much better has been really awesome. It's
also the Explorers, unlike the conference, do have themes. So the Maui theme was decision making, and all the speakers really focused on that topic.
And we did another one in just a few months ago in December in Telluride, Colorado. And that one, the theme for that was leadership. And it, again, workshops, very interactive, sort of 2-hour sessions, really a whole ton of fun. We also we walked around. I don't remember how many photos I put in. we did a tour of.
Oh, sorry, I got that slide out of order. That's Boston. That's Cambridge.
No, that's Telluride.
So that is Telluride?
That's Telluride.
That's right. We did.
We did a walking tour, a historical tour.
Remember I said I didn't overdo it last night? I'm rethinking that. Oh, and then of course. San Diego Comic-Con has been a thing with us. We've been helping the organizers of San Diego Comic-Con with their science and tech programming this will be our 6th year, I think, coming up 6th or 7th year. And we integrated with the MIT Media Lab and had several speakers from MIT come and talk about it, because it turns out many of the Marvel characters graduated from MIT. So we put together some panels and programming and a dinner and a reception at San Diego Comic-Con. A number of our passport holders got to actually go and attend San Diego Comic-Con, of which that's normally a very difficult thing to do. But that was, there's Greg. This was our reception. We are going to be doing this again on around July 20th. It all depends on when our panels get scheduled, but it'll be July 19th, 20th, that time frame. Oh yeah, and currently many of you are already engaged with our good friend Dennis Hall, who is orchestrating a variety of military embark adventures. This is one that I went on, and another one is coming up. Some of you are on the list for, to fly out 100 miles offshore the coast of California, tailhook land on the deck of an aircraft carrier, and spend the night. And in officers' quarters, 24 hours touring the entire ship. You don't get to see the reactor. You don't get to see the missile locations, but you do get to see just about everything else. So anyway, variety of those things.
This is, I was looking at this a few minutes ago, and I'm not sure why I put this slide here in the process, but one of the things we did last year was we started turning this concept of a Dent library into something that looks a little bit more like a book club, where we just select and send out to passport holders a provocative or thought-provoking book once a quarter. And we've sent out 3 really awesome books. We're going to keep doing that. The next one's coming up probably next month. We'll ship it out. It just ends up being a nice way. You get a great, bit of stimulated thought. Plus, you get the sense of, you're reading. You're sometimes literally on the same page as other people in the Dent community. We have, a bit of commonality to thinking throughout the year, which is really fun. We also did something. We've done a few things that have really come from the community, which we really like. The thing Steve was just describing with the sort of visiting an aircraft carrier is really comes from the community. This is something we did just a month and a half ago at the end of January in San Diego. We did a co-working weekend. And basically the idea is if you've got some project that you've got sort of on the back burner perpetually, pick a weekend, let's fly out somewhere together as Denters. Let's get together in an office space. Morgan, Graham, and Javier. Javier's not here. Morgan's here. Generously donated their office space for the weekend. And we huddled together, about a dozen of us or so, and basically got stuff done, as well as walked on the beach in January and had great meals in San Diego. So that was a fun sort of Dent community sourced experience. Another one that came from the community
was, thank you, Matt McKenna, who is pals with Teller of Penn and Teller. Helped orchestrate. We did a Dent dinner in Las Vegas, a month or 2 ago, just before CES, and got a backstage tour with Teller and got to see the show, and it was glorious.
We've also done some other. This is an interesting example of a dinner. So the Dent dinners, we schedule some of them. And we do some that are more impromptu. And this was an interesting one that came from someone that we met in Telluride who wanted to organize. This was at the house of the former ambassador to Costa Rica. We had a mix of people coming together to have a dinner with a topic around doing something practical with climate change.
And the oceans.
We had people in the oceans. And we had people who, fund interesting startups and technology around climate change. We had people running the startups, and we had people who were writing policy around the startups. And we tried to bring those 3 groups together to try and make something happen. We did dinners, the more classic Dent dinner in Seattle, San Francisco. Steve mentioned one around Comic-Con. We've done one in Boston. We're doing one in Boston again in a couple of weeks. It's just sort of something throughout the year that, as a Dent passport holder, it's free. And we just try and do it to keep the community, glued together. We've also done, oh no, it got cut off. We've done, Alana would love that I put this screenshot up, but we did a really cool experiment of using Zoom.
That'll teach you for not coming. So be aware, you don't come to the conference, anything can happen.
We did basically an AMA video call around crypto technologies with some people from the Dent community who really knew their way around the stuff. And we'll be doing more of those kinds of things. We also, along with all of the experiences around Passport, launched a coaching stable. And the idea being that coaching is something that is often a little bit inaccessible. If you don't have a coach already that you're working with, either a life coach, a CEO coach, or a leadership coach of some kind, it can be kind of difficult to dip your toes into it. It's hard to get. It's a little bit, touchy to ask someone, hey, who's your coach? I think we're getting better about that. But we want to encourage people to do that, and we have members of the community who are qualified and willing to help out. And so we have, if you are a Dent Passport holder, we have a set of coaches that you can reach out to. It's included in your Passport membership throughout the year.
I also want to interject one other item that our good friend Katie Coleman, Katie's recovering from a bad cold, otherwise she would be here today. Katie, due to our connection with her and with MIT, a number of Denters were invited to attend the Apollo anniversary dinner, which I think recently happened, or is it? It's coming up.
A couple weeks ago.
Anyway, so another thing we put out there to the Passport holders. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
So let's talk about 2019. So that was last year. We've had a year of this. A lot of it has been learning as we go. What is creating value for people here and what is not. And so we're doubling down on some of the stuff. Some of the stuff that we know is valuable. Like I said already, we're going back to the Harvard Business School event in like 2 weeks. We're going back to Maui. We'll have a new theme to it, but we'll be there in December 6th through 10th. You can register. It's $9.99. If you're a Passport holder, it's $4.99. And this is part of the way we want Passport to work, is we want it to be easier for people who are Passport holders to come to more things throughout the year.
Aquarius Reef Bases was something we had on the calendar for 2018. This is Florida International University has this undersea facility. It's the only remaining full-time undersea research facility in the world. NASA uses it as an astronaut training base. We were scheduled to take a number of you have been down there before. A few of us have spent the night. We were planning to go back in 2018, but due to some hurricane damage, which is now repaired, we've shifted that to 2019. We'll be announcing the dates for that soon. We're targeting June is the anticipated time.
And then there's some things that are wholly new on the experience side this year. At the end of April, we're going to go have a private dinner at the Magic Castle in LA, which is a private club for magicians. And it's a really fantastic experience. We have a couple of seats left for that dinner. It's actually mostly
it's quite full, not quite totally full, but I'm sure we'll be doing another one.
We're also adding 2 new coaches to the coaching stable. I would like, at this point actually, because we're not running so late, to ask the coaches. So I see Dana here, see Amanda, hey, Jessica, and where's Eric? To come up here for a second. Eric, come up here, and I want you each to, so these are the 4 coaches who are here with us, and I want you, if you don't mind, to just take less than a minute each with a handheld microphone that I have hidden in my pocket.
Magic.
And tell us in a brief way about you as a coach and your philosophy. And
Awesome. I'm Dana, for those of you who don't know me. I'm a business strategist and a coach. I work with entrepreneurs, business owners who are established. They've been around for a while. They've been doing okay, and then they hit a wall and don't know how to get to past that wall. And it can be revenue, it can be mental, it can be staff. So I help them get over that. Or what has been happening a lot lately is people have been around for a while, and all of a sudden they're suddenly discovered, that overnight success after 10 years. And their infrastructure isn't up for handling the sudden demand. So I help them quickly build systems and processes that will do that. 90% of the work that I do, however, is here, and 10% is actually doing stuff. Most of us know what to do. It's getting out of our own way. So that's me.
thank you.
I'm Andrea Umbach, and I'm an executive coach based in Seattle, Washington. I've been a Denter for about 5 years. I specialize in coaching for leadership and management, a lot of data collection at the beginning to understand how you're being experienced in your corporate environment or your team, and then working on your strengths and weaknesses based on that data. A lot of my clients are in some of the larger companies that you know and familiar and love from Seattle or hate, Amazon, Microsoft, Zillow, Expedia, some of those companies. But I also work with small companies. Venture capitalists often ask me to come in and work with executives in the companies that they've recently funded so that there's a higher possibility of success. I also work with large family businesses that are looking to inform and educate their shareholders who are coming in to the company through inheritance. So working with families that want to groom their grandchildren or children to take over the family businesses or be in the board seats. So, and that's it.
Thanks, Andrea.
Yeah.
Hey everyone, my name's Jessica, and the way I like to describe what I do is I'm in the business of helping you live your dreams. I just wrote and published my first book, and it's about my journey from being a global CMO to completely reinventing and transforming my life when I was 40 years old and stepping into my second and third act. And so that's what I help people now do. I help you uncover and step into living your soul purpose dream and bringing the best version of yourself out into the world. And I generally work with two types of people. I work with people that were like me. You know, we're middle-aged, waking up one day and realizing they don't love what they do and they don't know what to do about it. And then I also work with founders and CEOs of startups who are connected to their purpose, but they're being blocked in some way. And what I usually find is that there is a spiritual lesson beneath that is the reason for the block. And so I help them uncover it, walk through that, and take their vision into the world. And I'm really happy to be here. Loving Dent so far. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Jessica.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Eric Savarin, and I'm a leadership coach and thought partner. My work in some ways is similar to what Andrea was describing, but I tend to work across industries. I tend to do some work in high tech, done a lot of work in nonprofits, government, healthcare, higher education, so forth. So I tend to be more kind of ecumenical in my client base. My personal philosophy and the challenges I tend to work with people on is around trying to discover the leader that's within them, sort of like the old adage about the sculptors trying to find the statue inside the stone or the piece of wood. And I believe that's all and present in all of us, but it does take some work to uncover it. And so I spend a lot of time working with people who've been domain experts trying to move into a new area of leadership that doesn't feel as familiar or they don't feel as powerful or knowledgeable in as they did in their domain.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate it. Yeah, any way out.
Thank you.
I'm going to go look up ecumenical now. That's a new one for me. We've got a couple more things. One of the things that, as we think about how Dent Passport has gone this past year and ways in which we want to improve it, we want to add a little bit more glue throughout the year. A little bit more that makes it feel truly like a community. We're going to build an online directory so that you'll be able to go up and see, using your Passport login, who else is a Passport holder. You'll be able to see what kinds of things they do. You'll be able to reach out to them. We're going to start a monthly cadence of doing Zoom calls like those that we were talking about earlier, focused on peer mentoring or other topics. And we're going to create some private messaging channels outside of the scope of the Slack that we've been using here that help people stay in touch. We're also going to do some facilitated introductions by request throughout the year. So we're going to do this in two ways. One is, please reach out if you have an introduction if you have a request, basically. It's like, hey, I'm working on a new project. It looks like this. I'd really like to be in touch with people who work in film, who work in food, who work in blank. And we will do what we can to connect you. The other thing we'll do is, if you're taking a trip, if you're a Dent Passport holder and you're taking a trip, you can forward us your itinerary. And we'll have a dedicated email address for this. Forward the itinerary. And we will let you know if there are denters there that you should see. We want to make sure that you feel connected to denters when you travel. It's one of the coolest things about being part of this community is pretty much anywhere you go, at least in the US, and in some cases other places in the world, there are denters we know, and it would be amazing if you spent an hour with them, just like it is here to spend an hour with people. And we want to make sure that happens more often.
Wherever it is, odds are Stuart's already there.
Probably so.
That's what we've discovered. He's like the road runner. I'm already here. Okay.
And we're continuing to do this for the price we originally decided on, which was $9.99 a year as a subscription. I think it's a tremendous value. Yes?
Yeah, well,
Yeah, okay.
I don't know what the next slide says. Oh, well. So
It says go sign up.
Yeah. We should mention so that you do get a $500 discount on the next Dent conference. Explore is $499 instead of $1,000. And the introductory offer?
Yeah, we're doing it again.
Okay, so for every person who's getting their passport for the first time, we did this last year, we'll do it this year.
Between now and the end of April.
Thank you. Dent Explorer, one Dent Explorer is free. Yeah, and Dent dinners are always free. So the people coming to the Magic Castle in LA on the 29th, that's a free dinner.
Yeah. So dinners are free. Passport includes half off for the Dent Explorers, which we scheduled in Maui. Oh, and
one more thing.
Okay,
so we haven't announced generally.
I jumped the gun.
Good. There you go. We're headed back to Sun Valley. So
we're doing a Dent Explorer.
September 15th through the 1st. So it's an extended visit, and you'll need a time machine. DeLoreans will be provided. Wait, what's that other number?
We've got a new sponsor.
Is that the 19th?
Yeah.
I did sign a contract.
The 15th through the 19th.
We're going to do a Dent Explorer, Ketchum, Idaho, the Limelight Hotel. For many of you that were at the last Dent conference, we wrapped and did our party at the Limelight. And we're going to be back there, and we hope you can make it.
Yeah. So thank you. We're going to go to a break. We'll be back in 20 minutes.